I'll be okay again.
Hello, everyone. We're live. Say hi.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
We are so excited to bring you another Sweet Regency Ramblings. This day, we are going to discuss Pride and Prejudice and the different movie adaptations. So there are like 3 million of them, basically, and like the different versions and like remakes and everything. So I don't think we're going to be able to talk about all of them, but we can talk about the main ones-ish. So I thought let's just start off with our blanket statement of what our favorite adaptation is.
That's unfair. What if we like them for different reasons?
I am 100% 1995 version.
Are you?
I am 100% 1995 version also.
Casey?
I would say 2005.
That's mine as well.
Okay.
Mine's 2005. For sure.
Yes, I'm so glad you're on my team. I'm usually the odd man out, so I'm glad I got with someone with me here.
This is perfect. This is like 2 and 2. This is really good. This is very good. Okay. Oh, Holly says hi, and Emily says, yay, I made it. Good. We're glad to have you guys here. Okay, and you can feel free to comment all you want and ask your questions, and we'll get to as much as we can. Okay, so now that we've said our favorites, why are they your favorites? And then we'll just discuss this.
Okay, I'm just going to say one word. Well, 2. Colin Firth, hello! I mean, Colin Firth is like Darcy, like, what's the word? Epitomized? Is that the right word? He's just like, if you looked up in the dictionary, Fitzwilliam Darcy, it'd be Colin Firth, because he is just like, he's arrogant, he's kind of snotty, he's just awesomely hot. I don't know, the 2005 one.
White
okay,
shirt.
here's my, yeah, that was one of the non-book parts that I highly approved of, but but here's the thing. Okay, I'm just going to put it out there. Here's my problem with 2005. They make him seem shy and reserved and just kind of, oh, maybe she'll like me, but I have such higher standards. I don't know. He's just weak.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. That is not Darcy. I thought, not a fan.
No, when they're in the Netherfield Ball, the first time you meet him and he walks through like the parted people, I did not get like shy and maybe she'll like me. I got like snooty. Him and Caroline, they were so full of themselves.
Yes.
He would not dance with her because she was not handsome enough to tempt him. I mean, I think he was very, very full of himself there.
I think if you took the words away, then you wouldn't have known.
But you see like the little quirk of his eyebrow as he's walking around.
He he does.
Yeah, I totally see. And like, I totally think, and it's so, I love being able to have these different interpretations because it's a different interpretation of the book as well as of the movie. And it just goes to show how many different personalities we have as well as like our likes of it. Because like in the book version, he's totally conceited, but I love the fact that like I see that he's shy as well. And I kind of like him more that way because if he is just conceited, then I'm like, I kind of find him less redeemable that way. And then if he is more shy as well as the conceit, then it's like he kind of has more of an excuse kind of, but.
Well, don't you think like to a degree part of it is just ignorance because he was raised up to just know and think better than everyone else? And
yes, but I have to disagree with the shyness. Because you
have to?
I have
really
to.
have to.
I have to. There is like no other way I can do this. I have to. 100% wholehearted disagree with the shyness. Because I think that if he's shy, then it makes his redemption me. Okay, it was mostly that he was shy, so really there was no redemption. But where he is like uber snot-tastic and just rude and conceited. Then when he sees the error of his ways, it's that much greater because he has that much further he has to climb back.
Does he ever see the error of his ways? Like in that version? Because I always feel like
in the Darcy one?
In
the Darcy one. The one with Mr. Darcy? In that one?
In the Colin Firth one. Because it feels like, I don't know, just my interpretation. Like it just never feels like he fully like when like their proposal scene, like he's looking and he just has this little teeny like little smile, and then he just kind of hints at like proposing or whatever. And then like, does he ever really say like, "Hey, I've been a total jerk"?
He does at the end. Okay. He does during the scene when she finally accepts him at the very end. You know how they're walking down the country lane and they're both talking about what they did wrong? Yeah. And I like it. I love that scene because they both say it's like she's embarrassed about what she did and he's embarrassed about what he acted, and they both kind of are like, silly us.
Silly us.
And then they're happy and they're so giddy because now they get to wed. So
yes. Yeah. Holly says, yes, I love that version. Colin Firth is the best Mr. Darcy. And Shaylin says it's hard to compare the two because one had so much more time to develop the characters because it was way longer. That's super true.
That is really true. That is really true.
Yes.
It's hard to develop a character in 2 hours.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they did a superb
like
job.
Really too long hours.
Oh, Mindy.
I'm just kidding on that one. That one just... JK.
But they're good for different things. Like, do you want 6 hours of super accurate everything, or do you want a condensed 2 hour romantic one? Because I don't know. I think the 2005 might be a little more romantic, but the 1995 is definitely more accurate. That's
how do you feel about it, Jess?
Yeah, I was going to say what I love about the 95 one is just the accuracy, how long it is, how long I can stay in the story. Yeah. I love Jennifer L. Is that her name? What's her?
The one Jennifer who plays Elizabeth?
L. Yeah, I love her. She is my favorite. I do love Keira Knightley too, but I don't know. I feel like all these versions I go through and I I went back and watched the 1980 miniseries, BBC miniseries for this. And I'm like, oh man, I really love Catherine de Bourgh in this. I'm like, I wish I could kind of pick out. And so I don't know. I think they all, like Casey said, they all have strengths. I think just because I grew up with the 95 version, it's more nostalgic for me, where I want to when I'm in that mood to watch it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna watch 6 hours of the most amazing thing, so I don't often put on the other version. I don't know, but
no, that makes sense. And it's like you said, that all of them do have their strengths and all of them are perfect, and one of these days they're going to take into account all of our opinions and make the perfect one.
Maybe they'll watch this video and it will help them.
Yes. That's all they need to do.
Because we love her so much.
Yeah, they need to do another BBC series is what they need to do. Like the 95 and the 1980 that really gives us the whole feel.
Yeah, yes, for sure.
Cutting it short.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I think part of why I love the 95 though is because I think the romance feels more genuine, especially where it's an enemies to lovers, basically. It feels like you get to follow it, and it feels as long as it should be. Does that make sense? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you see a lot more of the turn in the relationship, I think, than you do in the shorter version. And you see the small turns, not just all of a sudden the turn. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because they have enough time to develop it more.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say sorry, I'm totally.
No, go ahead.
Totally interrupt. I was going to say the 1980 version, there is a lot of internal monologue, which is interesting in that version. Mm-hmm. But it's at first I was like, I don't know if I really like this. But it's cool because then you can her shifting internally as to why she starts to be like, oh, wait a second. And so I feel like the problem with the 95 version and also the 2005 version is that like Elizabeth Bennet, it's like doesn't like him. It's kind of like, maybe I was wrong about him. And then she sees Pemberley and she's like, oh my gosh, this could have been mine, you know? And it's like, wait, that's not actually love.
And she even says that. In the 95, that's the one problem I have with it, is when she and Jane are talking and Jane is like, Lizzie, when did you first know, that you loved him? And she said, I think I might, it dates back to when I first saw Pemberley. And
yeah, not like I saw him at Pemberley. I saw Pemberley.
Right.
It's like,
because that's really the truth, is she saw the true him at Pemberley. That's when she started to fall in love. But that is the one thing that I go, no.
Me too.
But don't you think she's being sarcastic, like joking?
Yes.
Yes, but still,
I mean, no sarcasm in Pride and Prejudice.
Even the internal dialogue.
I'm not sure. I really, no. I don't like him. I might like him, but I don't like him. You know what I mean? It's not until later, after she sees him at Pemberley, that she's like, oh, now I like you.
Yeah. You know what? Pemberley would soften my heart to someone, I feel like.
Same.
Well, how could it not? Well, and then, when you see him in a wet shirt, that would soften my heart too, I think.
Yep.
That definitely softens my heart every time.
And that's what they did. I like how they had in the 2005, how he hugged his sister in that. And you got to see their relationship and how she was really excited to see the sister. And then how the housekeeper, I think it was, how she was complimenting Darcy on what a good man he was and how kind he was. And like they did do those little bits. So if it was being at Pemberley that made her feel that love for him or that start to tolerate him, then there are those moments in there that she experienced. So it could be Pemberley, but like we were saying, what happened at Pemberley and stuff. But yes, at Pemberley. Angie McCain says, I feel like Darcy's relationship with his sister, look at that, is such a huge part of his character and his motivation. And that comes out so much more in the 1995 version. That's for sure. Yeah. More time to develop it for sure. And Shaylin says, 6 hours, please. Yes. I think we can all agree that we want more. more. Okay, let's see. Has anybody seen any of the other? Okay, so we talked. Let's see which ones we haven't talked about. Like Pride and Prejudice. I haven't seen that one. Or has anyone seen that one?
I have not. I try and stay away from those kinds. Like I haven't seen Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies either, because
I haven't seen that either.
I mean, Darcy is terrible.
I started that one.
Really?
Well,
yeah, Darcy is terrible.
He's so bad.
Zombies, vampire, I just can't do them. I just can't.
Yeah.
I love Lily James. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I love her. But we did not get through Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. So, which I heard the book was amazing. Like, so I might look at it someday. Yeah, it's based on a book. And it's basically like apparently taken just from like Jane Austen's words. And like somehow he like puts zombie things in that. My brother read it and he said,
okay, that's your assignment, Jess. You go read it and then you tell us how it is.
Yeah. Okay.
The rest of us should read it.
I'll get back to you on that.
Poor people should not waste time if it's not worth it.
Yeah.
No.
Ashley says Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is a book to make you vomit emoji. I can see that for sure. What about the black and white 1940s version, the one with Laurence Olivier, or however you say his name?
I watched parts of that.
Did you?
I liked it for what it is. Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No, you say, Casey.
Let's not argue on live television, children.
Go on, cut you off. You go first.
I was just going to say it's interesting just because like what they did with it, they took a lot of liberties of, you know, like their costumes are Victorian, you know, so they obviously like moved it up like 20, 30 years. And They
So
put in
inaccurate.
scenes, like there's this really great archery scene where she totally gets cerebral. So there's some really different, but I think for what it was, like it came out right after Gone with the Wind. Like Gone with the Wind was released in, I think, January, and then that came out in July of 1940. And so they were still on that high of Gone with the Wind, and everyone had loved it so much and everything. And so you can see so much like of Gone with the Wind in that version of Pride and Prejudice.
Well, they used their costumes, yeah.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Well, because
Yeah,
they
that would
had
make
to.
sense.
Sally told us about it once, or told, I don't know. I
I
heard
think
this
it was
from
on our
Sally.
group or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but about how they like were fighting to make the movie happen and people didn't want it to, and so they had to cut a lot of corners, like borrowing costumes and things. And I just think, I don't know, for like it's super inaccurate and everything, and they've added things, but for what it is, I think it was like entertaining.
Yeah.
But you
I
can't
agree.
expect like Pride and Prejudice. It's like you're watching a Bride and Prejudice or something that's like based on totally different, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and I mean, yeah. Plus the what is it, cinematography? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm into that, so I really know those words. But just the filming of it is something you have to get used to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for sure. I was watching, so I was telling Casey earlier, I watched the first proposal scene from a few of the Pride and Prejudices. Pride and Prejudice I?
I was going to say, is it Prejudice I?
And I watched them back to back just to see the difference. And like the 2005 one, In the Rain, like you just cannot beat that. Because like in the, like I know they took whatever artistic liberties and stuff because it's in the whatever, the house inside the room and stuff. What's that called? I'm a Regency author and I can't think of it.
The parlor or the sitting room?
The parlor? Yeah, is that what it is?
Drawing room? Yeah.
Some room. They're sitting inside. And like there's one version, the one with the Elizabeth with the crazy curly hair. Like it just feels very theatrical. Like it's almost like you're watching it on like the theater or whatever. And then you can see in the Colin Firth one, it gets more, there's more emotion to it and it's not like rehearsed and repeated and everything. But then you have the 2005 one and it's just like, oh, when he looks at her lips at the end and it's just,
I know, but it's one of those, that one that you're like, okay, seriously, Rain looking at lips, would you even like listen to his words? Or would you just be like, moving lips? Sure, I'll marry you. Look at this background.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say, have you watched his lips as he's talking?
What do you mean?
You should try it. Go back and watch him. What's her name? The aunt. She says there's something pleasant about his lips as he talks or something like that. Yeah. If you go back and watch that scene where he's talking to her and they're like going at it, if you watch his lips, there totally is. There's something pleasant about the way his mouth moves.
But that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, you can't have him proposing in the rain because it just seems so it seems like he's, well, isn't it, that's the one when the first proposal though, right? Where she's like, oh, how dare you? Isn't that when she turned, why would you turn him down?
Because she had just learned that he was the reason that Jane.
I know, but it's Rain. You would think about it later, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, never mind, take it back. I take it back. I'm not marrying you." But
he probably does regret it.
In the moment, I would be like, "Of course, I'll marry you. Look at this background."
No, because she's mad about her sister. But even in that moment, she's
they come and go.
Okay, you know what? Mindy.
I'm just kidding.
No, like you guys, I just watched both of these like in the last few days. And in that scene, when she's looking at his lips and she leans forward and he leans forward, like they're both like, but we should kiss. And we're in the audience like, yes, you should kiss. And then they have that restraint and it just like amps up the tension so much. Yes. But in the Colin Firth one, which I love so much, I really do, there's like, they're just talking back and forth and then mad at each other and then speaking more words. And I'm like, where's the tension? It lacks all the tension.
Yes.
See, I disagree with that.
Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, go, Jess.
Speak. Let's hear some arguments from you.
I was gonna say it just lacks the tension, like a Jane Austen lacks the tension. Like there's not a lot of tension in her works. It's not like this, feeling we get in modern Regency where we're like, oh yes, oh my gosh, I'm blushing, I can't. So yes, I do agree with you, Casey. I feel like there is a little bit more to the tension in that.
Are you going to say something, Mindy?
I'm not a traitor, Mindy. I still love the other one better.
I love the other one too.
No, I just think that I disagree with the tension because I think you can feel it in her because you can like almost literally see her eyes getting bigger as he's like, your inferior family and I don't know. Well,
I think I have a harder time with that one because I like I'm super expressive. Like you can tell, like I just make weird faces all the time. So like I like good. I'm glad you do too. I like emotion and like I like faces revealing things. And I feel like in the 95 one and then in the 1981 and then the 1941, like I feel like it's all just very prim and proper. And like I obviously like I'm sure that's how it was, like very prim and proper and everything. But I really love the whole like the way Elizabeth in the 2005 one, the way she's just like making faces and like, are you kidding me? And she's very, very expressive. Like I feel a lot more when they show their faces. And then like the subtle movements that Darcy does as well in that version, like when he says, when she mentions Wickham to him, and he's like, Wickham, and like he just very subtly does the same thing, but like there's so much emotion packed behind the faces, and I just love it so much. Let's just stop and watch that show together, shall we?
We really should.
Yes,
we really should. And I will go back and I'll rewatch those together, and then
you'll like it a lot more watching it.
I'm sure I will. Well, I'm sure I will. Well, that's a no-brainer. That's of course.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, Angie says, I didn't like that Catherine de Bourgh's visit at the end of that version was just a test to see if Elizabeth was really in love with Darcy. Yeah, that's in the 1940 version. Yeah. I wasn't a fan of that either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She was like a matchmaker in that version. And it's like,
that was interesting.
No, that would never happen.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to have another controversial question. Which Elizabeth do you like the best?
Can you say none of?
That's a controversial answer.
Okay, Casey, what? Do you like all of them kind of slightly, or do you think they're all lacking?
I just like them all the same. I don't love Keira Knightley in general, and so she just doesn't do it for me. And then Jennifer, I don't know how to say her last name. Jess, you said it earlier.
I think it's Elle, but I don't know. It's like
I think she's fine, but and I know people seriously love them, so don't throw pitchforks at me. But I don't know. I watch them for the Darcys.
Amen.
Preach, sister.
I think out of all of them, mine would probably be Keira Knightley, but just by a slim margin. Like I feel like I don't know if anyone would ever be a perfect Elizabeth or really a perfect Darcy. Like because we all have just this perfect person in our minds, but. I mean, that's how I am. What about you, Mindy and Jess?
I feel like because I saw the movie, my dad watches it every year. And
which version?
The 95 version. Yeah. Oh, he'll take a whole Saturday and just marathon it every year.
That's so fun.
And that and Anne of Green Gables. So I usually growing up, I would see that. So for me, those are my characters. Like I read the book after the fact. So when I read the book, it's kind of like, like Harry Potter. Like, unfortunately, I watched the first movie before I ever saw the book. So then from then on, those are my characters. So I feel like similar with these is because I was introduced to the 95 version and then I've read the book since then. And those are the characters in my mind. So I'd have to say Jennifer is my favorite just because that's who she was, for me. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to go on it depends. Because I think Jennifer Ill has that snarky kind of that snide personality a little bit more than Keira Knightley. She plays that flippant character a little bit better. But I think Keira Knightley has probably more expressive faces.
Yes. I love that.
So I think it depends on which part I'm wanting more of.
I can get on board with that answer.
You what?
I can get on board with that answer.
Yes. All right. Well, this has been a great call. And
And on a high note.
on a high note.
Let's see. Emily says, I don't think there's a perfect Elizabeth because we all picture ourselves as her. Maybe that's just me. That's a really good point. Yeah.
That is.
Yep.
I wish
sure.
I was that witty. I'm not Elizabeth in my head. I'm like Mary. Always Mary. Reading my books in the corner.
I'm afraid I might be
weird things.
I might be a prim or proper Lydia.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
No.
You know.
The life of the party for the army
Officers.
people. Officers.
No, yes.
Officers.
But I feel like
My
that's
head.
true. We do want to see ourselves in the main characters.
Yeah,
So
I would agree.
That's how a
For
lot
sure.
of books are, though. You know, we are the heroine as we're reading them.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is, I think we've had this discussion, which is why we don't like to have a redeemable heroine, because we don't ever want to see ourselves as needing to be redeemed. I
Because we're
just
perfect
grabbed a
already.
cotton that was floating in the air. Did you notice that?
I thought you were just trying to touch your tree.
No, it was cotton floating by.
Okay, do we have any questions from those watching or any other comments? Or you can go ahead and post your best Elizabeths or your favorite movies. Okay, we've got just a few minutes left. So let's just say the best scene, the scene you like the best in whatever version of the movie. Mine's the rain scene. That's super easy. That one's the best. Out of every movie ever.
95, when she goes to Pemberley, right when she gets there, and Mr. Darcy goes swimming and comes out and
I
then
love
asks
that.
if her family is well, like twice, and just great.
Yeah.
I do love that one, but I also love when they're at Pemberley at Pemberley, and his sister's playing the piano, and Caroline Bingley mentions Mr. Wickham, and she stops playing, and Elizabeth goes over and is like, "Oh, you don't have anyone to turn your pages," and he sits there, and there's all of a sudden this smile and this contentment on his face that is like my absolute favorite.
And
That
then
is
they
such a
lock
good one.
eyes for like 5 minutes.
Yes.
They're like eye lock.
Yeah,
Okay, that might be tied with mine. Thanks for the reminder, Mindy. I do love that.
I got you back.
I just like when mine is the rain scene too. But I like when she arrives to Burley and he's like chasing her carriage down and like, no, don't leave yet. And I'm like, yes, go after her. I love that.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
That's a good one.
Emily says her favorite one is the 95 staring across the room. And yep, the eye lock. The eye lock. Yes, indeed. That is very romantic. Let me see. Okie dokie. I think those are all the questions that I have. Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to talk about? Something they need to get off their chest about things they love about Pride and Prejudice?
Should we just
Any other
mention-
admissions?
Should we give the hand flex honorable mention just because it's so good?
I saw that
Yes.
actually just the other day, and I was like, "Oh, the hand flex! There it is."
Yes. The first time watching that, it was like it's so subtle and it's so like you never ever see it anywhere. But like it's just amazing, and it gives you all the feels. It's just wonderful.
So like it just made me think of it, but when I was in high school, I mean, like when I saw that movie in theaters, we got out of the theater and one of the guy friends that went with us said that we were talking about like the moment that Darcy fell in love with Elizabeth. And he was like, I knew the moment that hand flexed. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, because he just like, and I like never forget that because I was like, I thought it was so weird that he noticed that and he was a guy, but apparently that's like a thing. Because he was
So
like,
don't be
that just, like,
surprised
yeah.
when we
Love
put that all in our next novel.
Oh yeah.
I totally have one.
You really?
Yeah.
Which book?
In my latest one.
I have never used
Yeah.
the hand flex. I've thought about it, but I'm like, I just don't know how to work it in without it seeming like you might be having a seizure or something.
Well, go read Deborah's book, and then you'll learn how to work it in.
I will, and then I'll have to.
I might have put it in, and I might have taken it out. Now I can't remember, but because I didn't want anybody to think that I was copying, even though I totally was.
It would be an homage. That's not copying.
Yeah.
Homage,
Okay.
exactly. There we go.
Exactly.
If I don't have it in that one, I'll have to go back and look and see if I have it. If I don't, then I'm totally adding it into my next one. All of us should, and make it like
Yes.
That's the Easter egg.
yeah.
Yes.
Look at the
There we
like
go.
everyone is doing now.
And I just don't even get. I mean, seriously, I'm like a day late and $1 behind on Easter eggs because I'm like, Easter eggs? Why are we putting Easter eggs in a Christmas book?
We'll explain it afterwards.
And
It's
then
done
someone
going live.
explained it, and I was
Oh,
like,
good.
I vaguely get this, but still, no.
Oh, that is funny.
If there's an Easter egg in my book, it's on accident.
All right, let's see. The last comment, Holly says the 95 version when Elizabeth stands up to Lady Catherine. That is a great moment.
Oh, that's a good moment.
Yes.
Mhm.
Love it.
And she's a good Lady Catherine, I gotta say, because you just love to hate her.
Yeah.
They cast that well.
Yes, indeed.
Mhm.
Okie dokie. We are at
I
30
will
minutes.
also say really quick, Mr. Bennett in the 95 is better. I'm not a Donald Sutherland as Mr. Bennett fan. Just putting that out there. But there we go. And it's been a great call.
Way to end it. What we can end on is by saying we just like, don't you just love Jane Austen for being able to create this? Like, so we can discuss this. Like, I just hope that she can see this and like, just like know how awesome she is, because she has created so many incredible books for us to be able to talk about for 30 minutes. And we literally could go on for hours and hours, as we usually do, and as other people usually do, because it's just so amazing.
It'd be interesting to know who her favorite ones were.
Yes.
She
Yes.
said, yes, that's him. That's
Yes.
what I was thinking of.
It's probably
Colin
Matthew
Firth.
McFadden. I'm just saying.
I'm pretty sure her pick for Ford has Colin Firth.
Or both, like me. Loves both
Like a
of them.
mesh.
It's
Yeah.
true.
The perfect conglomeration.
This part of him, this part of him.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. And on that, we will end before another argument comes up.
Arguments. They're called discussions.
Yes, that's right. We were heated, but
We love each other. It's okay.
Yes.
We do.
yeah,
We
we're all
do.
ending on a smile.
I'll just have to text everyone after and express my heartfelt apologies, right?
We love those texts from you, Mindy.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. We're so happy you did. We will see you in 2 weeks for our next Regency Ramblings. Goodbye.
Bye.